You want the truth about the 2025 boat market? It's a mess. A full-on, anchor-dragging, money-bleeding collapse, and it's only getting worse. Boats are flooding the market, sellers are desperate, and buyers, they've all but vanished unless the deal smells like blood in the water. Marinas are packed, not with excited new owners, but with for-sale signs that haven't moved in months. Brokers are walking away from listings. Boat shows are dead, and owners who once bragged about their investment are now just praying someone takes the thing off their hands. If you're thinking of selling, brace yourself. If you're holding out for last year's price, good luck. And if you're buying, you're in the captain's chair, because this market is yours to control. In this video, I'm breaking it all down. 10 brutal reasons why the boat market is collapsing in 2025, and why we haven't hit bottom yet. Let's get into it. Step onto any dock right now, and it won't take long to see what's happening. Boats everywhere, all for sale, and almost none of them moving. We've gone from a market that was tight and competitive to one that's absolutely drowning in listings. It's not a slowdown anymore. It's a backlog. What caused the glut? It's simple. Too many owners trying to exit at the same time. People who thought they'd enjoy a few years on the water are now looking to offload boats that are costing more than they expected. And new boats are still hitting the market too, whether from people upgrading, downsizing, or just bailing altogether. The supply just keeps growing. At the same time, demand has dropped off a cliff. Boats that used to sell in a few weeks are now sitting 6 months, a year, or longer. Brokers are overwhelmed with listings, and many are starting to pass on anything that isn't turnkey or priced to move. There's just too much inventory and not enough serious interest. And this isn't just about beat-up boats in bad shape. Plenty of good boats, clean, well-maintained, even upgraded, are sitting on the market untouched. Not because they're bad deals, but because buyers have too many options. They're waiting for the perfect boat at a bargain price, and that kind of buyer pressure is making everything else sit. It's a buyer's buffet out there, and most listings are getting lost in the noise. The moment a seller lists a boat slightly above where the market wants it, it's dead in the water. Buyers don't even look. They just scroll past to the next boat that's cheaper, newer, or better equipped. This is the hard part no one wants to admit. If your boat's been listed for more than a month without real interest, the market is telling you something loud and clear. You're either priced too high, or your boat's not standing out in a sea of options. The glut is real, and it's not going anywhere soon. Until owners start accepting what the market is actually willing to pay, or the buyer pool suddenly grows, we're going to keep seeing docks full of for sale signs and listings that just don't move. A couple of years ago, it felt like everyone wanted a boat. Listings were vanishing overnight. Deals were fast and competitive, and sellers had the upper hand. Now, it's like someone flipped a switch. Boats are sitting, and buyers have all but vanished. So where did they go? They're still out there, but they're not buying, and the reasons stack up fast. First off, people are more cautious. They're doing the math and realizing that boat ownership isn't just about the sticker price. Between insurance, slip rent, maintenance, and surprise costs, even a cheap boat adds up quickly. For a lot of potential buyers, that's a hard pill to swallow, especially in a year where everyone's watching their spending. Then, there's the financing. Interest rates are high, and that's making monthly payments way more painful than they used to be. Many folks who would have financed a mid-range boat just a year or two ago are now either priced out or waiting for rates to come back down. The cost of borrowing is scaring people off, and without financing, a huge chunk of the market just disappears. There's also a shift in priorities. Some would-be buyers are moving away from long-term commitments like boat ownership and focusing on more flexible adventures, chartering, road trips, or just staying land-based. They want experiences, but not the ongoing costs or responsibilities of owning a boat. And let's not ignore the psychology at play. Buyers are watching the market sink, and that puts them in wait-and-see mode. Why rush to buy a boat today if you think prices will be lower next month? That mindset creates hesitation, and hesitation kills momentum. So the buyers didn't disappear, they just changed. They're more careful, more selective, and in no rush to pull the trigger. They're happy to browse listings, but only make a move when a deal looks too good to pass up. The end result? fewer offers, longer selling times, and more boats piling up. Until confidence returns, or prices fall hard enough to spark action, those buyers will stay on the sidelines. One of the quietest but deadliest forces in the boat market right now is interest rates. They're not flashy. You don't see them on the listing photos, but they're killing deals behind the scenes before the first phone call is ever made. Here's the deal. Most buyers finance. Very few people are dropping cash for a boat, especially anything over 50 or 60 grand. Financing makes the dream accessible, but only when rates are low, and in 2025, they're anything but low. With rates hovering around 8 to 10% for marine loans, the monthly cost of ownership has jumped big time. That boat you thought would run you $800 a month, now it's closer to $1,200. Add in slip rent, insurance, and upkeep, and suddenly the budget doesn't fit anymore. So the buyer walks, or doesn't even bother calling. It's not just the monthly cost, it's the approval process too. Lenders are tightening up. Some are skittish about older boats. Some want higher credit scores or more money down. That makes it even harder for the average buyer to get through the door. And for sellers, that means more deals falling apart during underwriting or survey. Here's the kicker. Most sellers don't even realize how much rates are hurting their chances. They think they just need better photos or a different broker. But the truth is, buyers are seeing numbers that don't work, and they're backing off before the conversation even starts. Until those numbers change, the pain continues. High rates are putting a lid on what people can afford, and that's going to keep a lot of boats right where they are, tied up at the dock, waiting for a deal that can actually close. Let's get one thing straight. Owning a boat in 2025 isn't just expensive, it's the most costly it's ever been. This isn't the kind of expense you can shrug off as a luxury hobby anymore. For many owners, it's a slow financial bleed that's becoming impossible to ignore. Start with the basics. Slip, rent. In a lot of coastal marinas, you're easily paying between $1,700 and $2,000 a month just to keep the boat floating. That's before electricity, water, and extras. Some owners are paying more per month for their slip than they do for their mortgage. Next comes insurance. If you've got a decent-sized trawler or sailboat, especially if it's older or in a hurricane zone, you're likely shelling out $3,000 to $5,000 a year just for coverage. And that doesn't always include full replacement value or damage from named storms. It's coverage with conditions, and it keeps going up. Then there's maintenance, the never-ending kind. Bottom cleanings every few weeks, oil changes, system checks, pumps that fail, batteries that die, canvas that tears. Boats don't sit quietly. Even unused, they rot, corrode, and cost money. Budget $200 to $300 a month minimum if you're lucky. More if something breaks. And something always breaks. Toss in surprise costs, haul-outs, surveys, diver fees, electrical work, and the annual burn rate can easily hit 20 to 30 grand. And if you're not using the boat regularly, that number feels even more brutal. Buyers are looking at these numbers and backing off. And owners who thought they'd be sailing into a retirement dream are now trying to offload before the bills pile up further. Owning a boat used to be a badge of freedom. Now, it's often a symbol of a financial trap. And that's a big reason why so many boats are flooding the market and why buyers are being so cautious. The romance is still there, but the reality is hitting a lot harder. Welcome to the new reality of selling a boat. Lowball offers left and right, and buyers who aren't afraid to walk if you don't take their price. Sellers are hurting, and the buyers, they know it. This is what a buyer's market truly looks like. The tables have turned hard. With boats piling up and few buyers willing to jump, anyone who is in the market knows they hold the power. And they're not wasting time throwing out polite offers. They're swinging low. Real low. We're talking offers at 70, 60, even 50% of the asking price. Buyers are looking for desperation, and they're finding it. Boats that were listed for $120,000 last year are getting offers for 70, and sometimes being sold for that because the owner can't take the burn rate anymore. And here's the thing, most buyers aren't bluffing. If you don't take their offer, they move on. They've got a list of 10 other boats they're watching, and most of them are just as good. This isn't a scarcity market anymore. It's a feeding frenzy for anyone holding cash or flexible financing. Sellers are struggling to adjust. Some are insulted. Some are still clinging to what their boat was worth 2 years ago. But the smart ones, the ones who really want out, are learning to play ball. Because they know every month that boat sits, it's costing them thousands. If you're selling a boat right now, prepare yourself. the offers won't be flattering. But if you wait too long, hoping for a better one, you may be waiting a very, very long time. One of the biggest reasons boats aren't selling right now has nothing to do with the boats themselves. It's the mindset of the owners. Too many sellers still think it's 2021, and they're pricing their boats like the market never changed. But it has changed drastically. Back then, demand was high, financing was cheap, and buyers were racing each other to make offers. Boats were selling fast, often above asking price. But that's over. Today, we've got too much inventory, tighter credit, and buyers who are cautious, slow, and very selective. Still, you'll see listings everywhere with unrealistic prices. Sellers base their numbers on what they paid, not what the market will bear. Or worse, they compare their boat to one that sold in the peak market, not realizing that was a completely different economy. This kind of pricing isn't just hopeful, it's damaging. Boats listed too high don't just sit, they stale. Buyers skip them, thinking something must be wrong. Even if you eventually lower the price, that listing now has a stigma. It's been sitting too long, and people start asking, why hasn't it sold yet? Sellers stuck in the past are missing the boat, literally. They could have sold at a fair price 6 months ago. Now they're carrying months of extra costs and still no deal in sight. Every delay costs more. Slip fees, maintenance, insurance, and depreciation. The ones who succeed now are the ones who adapt. They study what's actually selling, not just what's listed. They price their boats to move, not to test the market. They let go of the fantasy and deal with reality. This isn't 2021 anymore, it's 2025, and the longer you pretend it hasn't changed, the more your boat will sit, right where it is. In a soft market, selling a boat without a broker might sound like a smart move. Save the commission, handle your own sale, maybe pocket a little more in the end, right? But right now, FSBO, for sale by owner, is turning into a slow-motion disaster for a lot of boat owners. The reason is simple. Most FSBO listings don't get seen, don't get trusted, and don't get results. And in a market as saturated and slow as 2025, you need all three. Start with visibility. Brokers have networks, real ones. They're plugged into listing services, mailing lists, other brokers, and buyers who are already in the market. An FSBO seller is throwing a listing on Boat Trader or Facebook and hoping it catches someone's eye. But when buyers have hundreds of boats to pick from, a casual DIY listing just doesn't cut through the noise. Then there's presentation. Too many FSBO listings look amateur. Bad photos, vague descriptions, no service records, no survey info, and sometimes not even a hull number. That instantly makes buyers suspicious. They wonder what's missing, what's being hidden, and whether the seller even knows what they're doing. That's not the vibe you want when asking someone to spend tens or hundreds of thousands of dollars. Negotiation is another big hurdle. Buyers today are aggressive. They come in low and expect a back and forth. But many FSBO sellers aren't prepared for that. They get offended, dig in their heels, and let deals fall apart over small details. A broker would have kept things alive, pushed for middle ground, or known how to weed out tire kickers. Going it alone often means no sale at all. Finally, there's time. The longer your boat sits, the more it costs you in slip fees, maintenance, and lost value. Saving a broker's cut means nothing if the boat sits unsold for another 6 months and costs you $10,000 in the meantime. In this market, FSBO is failing because it requires skill, speed, and serious hustle. Most folks don't have the time or the network to pull it off, and right now, you need every edge you can get. Walk through some marinas right now, and you'll notice something strange. They're full of boats, but the air feels dead. No buzz, no foot traffic, no showings. It's like time has stopped. Brokers are burned out, owners are frustrated, and buyers, well, they're nowhere to be seen. This is the eerie silence of a dead market, and it's showing up everywhere. Let's start with the marinas. Spaces that used to be hard to get into are now wide open. Not because no one wants a slip, but because so many boats are for sale and they're not moving. Some marinas are starting to look like floating boat yards. Half the boats are dusty, canvas is flapping, and for sale signs are sun-bleached and curling at the edges. Then there are the boat shows. What used to be packed events full of excitement, deals, and serious buyers has turned into something much quieter. Some sellers report barely a handful of real conversations, and even fewer offers. One dealer recently admitted they used to close 50 boats at a show. This year, they closed 2. That's not a slowdown, that's collapse. Brokers are feeling it too. Listings are way up, but closings are way down. Some are turning down listings unless they're realistically priced, or they know the owner's motivated to move. Others are stepping back entirely, focusing on buyers only, because that's where they still have leverage. The frustration is real. Sellers think a broker isn't doing enough. But the truth is, even the best broker in the world can't create buyers out of thin air. When confidence is down and the money's tight, listings just sit. And brokers? They're not in the business of managing dead weight forever. This is what a frozen market looks like. It's not loud, it's quiet, too quiet. And when even the pros start backing away, that's a red flag for anyone still hoping for a fast sale. There's a hard truth that a lot of boat owners ignore until it's too late. A boat that doesn't sell isn't just waiting, it's decaying, rotting, costing you more by the day, and before you know it, it's not an asset anymore, it's a liability. Boats are not like cars. They don't just sit still and hold value. When a boat goes unused, it starts falling apart. The sun bakes the gel coat. The rain seeps into the seams. Mold creeps into the cushions and lockers. The batteries die. The electronics go glitchy. Hoses crack. Seals fail. And all of it adds up to time, money, and headaches. Bottom paint wears off. Zinc anodes dissolve. Critters move in. Birds roost. And let's not even talk about what's happening below the waterline if you're not keeping up with diver cleanings or haul-outs. If your boat has been sitting unsold for 6 months or more, chances are it already needs attention, maybe a lot of it. And every repair bill knocks down your resale value even further. Buyers don't want a boat with a list of issues. They want turnkey, or something priced so low they can afford to fix it all. Meanwhile, you're still on the hook for slip rent, insurance, and maintenance. The costs don't stop just because no one's calling, and while you're waiting for the right buyer, your boat is slowly becoming harder to sell, both visually and mechanically. The emotional toll is real too. What started as your pride and joy slowly turns into a burden. You stop checking on it. You dread opening the hatches, and at some point, you just want it gone. That's when the boat flips from investment to liability. It's no longer something you're proud of, it's something you're stuck with. If you're in that boat, literally or figuratively, it's time to make a call. Either put the money in to bring it back up to standard, or price it to move, because the longer it rots, the more it costs. And eventually, what could have been a sale becomes a salvage. The big question that everyone's quietly asking, but nobody seems to have a straight answer for, is this: where does the boat market go from here? Are we looking at a total collapse or just a slow, painful drag towards some new normal? Right now, it feels like we're stuck in neutral. Boats aren't moving. Prices are soft. Listings are stale. Brokers are disillusioned. Buyers are cautious. And sellers? Many are still clinging to old values that the market just doesn't support anymore. So what's next? Let's start with the worst-case scenario: a full collapse. This would look like a true market reset. Boats selling at half their former value, financing becoming nearly impossible, and owners walking away from vessels they can't afford to maintain or sell. You'd see repo rates jump, marinas filling with abandoned hulls, and brokers exiting the business altogether. Sound extreme? Maybe. But it's not impossible. We've already seen used boats sitting for over a year with no movement, even after multiple price drops. We've seen buyers walk away over a few $100s because they know more inventory is coming. That kind of slow erosion in confidence can snowball, and it doesn't take much for a tipping point to trigger a deeper crash. But more likely, we're heading into a long, grinding, slow burn. That means this downtrend isn't going to suddenly fix itself. There's no snapback on the horizon. Instead, we'll see values continue to inch downward. More owners will get fed up and drop their prices out of desperation. Some boats will sell, especially the ones that are priced right, clean, and ready. But many will just sit. Buyers will continue to wait. Lenders will stay cautious. And the overall vibe in the market will be one of caution, not confidence. The problem is, recovery in this space is slow. Boats are niche. There's no massive institutional rescue coming. It's just individual buyers and sellers grinding it out, one listing, one deal at a time. And as long as ownership costs stay high and borrowing stays tight, we're going to see more people leave the market than enter it. So if you're holding a boat right now and hoping for a rebound, you might be waiting a while. The smart play? Be realistic, price to move, or use the boat and enjoy it while you can. Because sitting on it, hoping for the tide to turn, might just cost you more in the long run than it's worth. One thing's certain, the boat market isn't bouncing back anytime soon. Whether we crash or crawl, we're not getting out of this storm quickly. So there you have it, the brutal, unfiltered truth about the boat market in 2025. It's oversaturated, overpriced, and painfully slow. Sellers are bleeding money, buyers are circling like sharks, and the whole industry feels stuck in a fog with no wind in the sails. If you're in this market right now, you've got a decision to make. Sit back and hope for a rebound, or face the storm head-on, adjust your expectations, and find a way forward. Whether that means selling at a loss, riding it out, or rethinking the dream altogether, that's up to you. Thanks for hanging with me through all 10 of these hard-hitting truths. If this gave you some clarity, or just confirmed the gut feeling you've had for a while, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and drop a comment below. I want to hear what you're seeing in your marina, your market, your world. Until next time, keep your head on a swivel, your bilge dry, and as always, live life with no regrets. Catch you in the next one.